video is going live. Here we go, here we go. So thank you guys for tuning in again. I know that some of you are going to kind of trickle in as the time goes by. So I'll try to kind of stall for a few minutes. I apologize if for those of you that are tuning in later, you can just bypass the next minute or so. But I just wanted to give everyone a chance to hop on because this live video is meant to be a date night. It's Friday. If you are just signing in right at the beginning of the video, there is a virtual tip jar. So that kind of gives you something to do for the next few minutes. Let me just mute myself for a second here. So thank you guys for tuning in. Hey, Brandy. Hey, how many? Oh, we've got 12 people. Hi. All right. So hopefully you guys are tuning in and excited to paint with me. Those of you that are not familiar, my name is Natalie. I own and operate Pour Sip Paint. I am the sole artist of a portable paint and sip company. Obviously, we've got some restrictions on our painting and sipping abilities, so I figured the best way for us to do this is for me to come and paint with you in your home. So hopefully you guys are there together and ready for a fun date night in rather than out. I know that I've got my liquid courage, so I certainly hope you guys do too. Hi from Seebeck. I'm super excited that you guys are tuning in. So keep commenting. I will let you know right now. I'm going to limit my responses a little bit this time just because I know that there's a lot of people that are going to be tuning in later. So if you are here and you are doing this video after the fact, it's okay, you're still going to get equally as much out of it. I really, really hope that if you don't have your supplies, those of you that had mentioned you were waiting for your supplies to arrive, that's perfectly fine. You just use whatever you have on hand. My supply list, do I have another kiddo one? It's coming soon. So your supply list is something simple. All you needed was white, yellow, red, blue, and black, so just the primary colors. A simple canvas, whatever size you might have on hand. You can use paper as well, although some of the techniques don't work quite as easily on paper because paper has a tendency to warp. So if you've got supplies waiting, that's fine. You can wait until later. Otherwise, if you guys, I've got someone that showed up. Hi. So the initial beginning of this was paint date. So the whole thought was that we were going to do this as a date night excuse for us to actually get together, but all of us are super busy. So at the end of a long week, thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you're ready just to settle in, relax with a glass of wine or I don't know, shots. You're in the comforts of your own house. So we're in public and you have to be limited. There is no limit. So I hope you guys have a bottle ready. I know I do. Sweetheart, I'm sorry I didn't pour you a glass. I wasn't sure if he was going to be here, so I was going to drink this by myself. But the rest of you guys get situated. We're going to get started. I'm going to go over, I know everyone's been asking, what is the painting? The painting is really just, I've had this wave of emotion, as I'm sure the whole entire nation has, and I've had a wave of frustrations, and yet at the same time I'm so humbled by the opportunity to be home with my kids and the opportunity to be able to keep creating despite constant what's going on right now. And it's been really, really difficult to try to overcome that. And the only way that I know to do that is to just sit back, embrace it, and go with the flow. So today, my thought, I just kept coming back to this wave crashing over us. That's what we keep. There's one of my favorite Christian songs that specifically talks about that, and I can't help but focus on it. So I think what we're gonna do today is have crashing waves. I had actually one person from if you didn't get a chance to watch last week's video, I've decided, come here, sweetheart. So my name is Natalie. This is Anthony, and we do this thing together. Occasionally, once a month, we get together, and he comes and helps me with my classes. Otherwise, we're just a regular couple trying to make it through. And again, here's your bottle. You might want a glass. It's over there. And we really, really want to just give you guys an excuse, just like we need one, to get together and drink and paint and unwind, and he is obviously happy about the glass of wine he's about to have. So the thought was to give you guys this opportunity. This is a free class. You can watch it, you can share it. I certainly hope you share it because while this is my full-time job. My full-time job is to encourage you guys to keep creating. And one of my favorite things that I've been seeing is how you've been taking this opportunity to paint more, to do all kinds of different crafts with your kids or just by yourselves or whatever it may be. And I love that. So I hope that you take away a feeling of, I don't know, inspiration. So that being said, I do want to mention this class is free, but I do have a link to my virtual tip jar. So small little bits help. It helps us to continue to do this. I tried to offer classes and other opportunities to do online courses, but with this being completely free, oh, they're hearting us. So we made up a game last week. Every time we get big hearts or we get likes on here that we take this opportunity to clink and sip. So we're going to take this opportunity to encourage you guys to clink and sip without the clinking.
Okay. Actually, it was more the every time we hear the clink of that coin in the tip jar.
Oh, even better. So now that I was talking about the tip jar. So
great segue, huh?
I wanted you guys to just be able to give to us if you are feeling it. If whatever, I'm just happy you guys were here. But there is a little link that's above the video. It just says virtual tip jar. You can do it all the way at the end of the video after we're done. You know, if you're able, great. If not, that's okay. I did want to plant seeds as well because I've had so many people asking about what you doing. Is this a regular class? I would love to be able to offer this free Friday night date night for you guys, continuing on, just depending on how everything progresses. But I also wanted to give you guys the heads up that I've been offering classes that you can buy. So you can buy supplies and have them shipped. So this was one that we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks. It's 3D, so you can't really see it very well, but the stencil is actually 3D, and this is the wrong painting. I have another one where the lanterns are actually three-dimensional as well. So you get all the supplies, and you get this, you know, special kind of tape that makes everything pop off the canvas. This is a really fun one to do with kids, a really fun one to do on date night. But just another alternative. You can find this on my Pour Sip Paint Facebook page. You can find it on poursippaint.com. It's listed under classes, and you can just go down. It'll give you the actual drop down. Those of you that have registered, you guys are going to get these pretty little gifts because right now, when everything's so sad, it's been really difficult for me to overcome just kind of the inability to see everyone. So you get gifts on your doorstep if you're local. Some of you that are in Bremerton or Kitsap, you might get these too. So just so you know, they're pretty and they're going to be showing up. I'll let you guys know when they arrive so they don't sit on the rain. But these are coming. And I have been anxiously waiting in my mailbox for other things to arrive. And one thing that arrived today, and I don't know how many of you are going to know what this means. So, anybody know what this is for?
Is that a black light?
This is a black light.
Oh. Okay.
So I started doing blacklight classes, and it was only offered at one location once every quarter or so. But I decided if I can ship you guys a bulb and you can make the setup according to how I instruct you guys, you'll be able to purchase the supplies for this class off my website in a few days, and we're going to be doing a really fun blacklight painting. So it's completely different than anything else you've ever experienced. It's coming, and I wanted to plant the seed there. It is a blacklight. I'm so excited. So just
you can either paint and sip or puff and paint.
He gets it. He gets it. Hey, judgment-free zone. Whatever gets you in the creative juice flow or whatever you need to be in, there you go. That's coming next. I know why you guys are here. You're here to actually paint, and I'm going to say unwind, sweetheart. You might want to take this off because you're going to get paint on it. It happened last week. He had it on his pants. So as you're coming through, get comfortable.
Still don't have aprons, do we?
I don't have aprons. Oh, actually I do. There's a bin over there.
Aha.
So I wanted to check in with some of you guys. My one recommendation, check in with your extrovert friends. They're not okay. Okay. We don't know how to do this. So I'm trying my best. I'm trying to suck it up, and this is why you see my face on your screen at home. But I'm waiting for him to get his apron so that we can do this thing. I'm just gonna wing it. So I had mentioned we're doing waves, but I'm gonna wing it. I'm going to rotate the camera, and I apologize again. Please don't give me the angry emoji faces. If you do, that's okay, I understand. But I have to tilt the camera, and there's really no way for me to do that with my phone attached to my tripod. So I gotta manually tilt. So just bear with me for 2 seconds, okay? And I promise we'll be back. So I'm not really...
Thank you, Kristen.
Oh, thank you. Oh, we're... Yeah. Okay. So I appreciate the tips. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing. Keep a quick pause. I'm sorry. But you're going to be able to see my palette this way.
Coming.
Hold on.
No.
And
they can't see the palette, but they can see the...
that's okay. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of what we're doing here. So hold still and bear with me, because what we're going to do... There we go. That's what I wanted. I wanted you guys to see my palette. So as you can see, I've got white, yellow. I cheated and I just went ahead and put some orange in here, but really red's great. We're gonna mix colors. And then we've got blue and we've got black. So regular primary colors, no big deal. I've got my paint water. I've got my liquid courage. This is the important stuff over here. Thank you for my hair. My hair...
Did you thank someone for giving you hair?
No, Kylie mentioned that she likes my hair. My hair, this is my beachy wave look. So I figured if we're going to be painting waves, as I'm really wishing and praying we get to take a vacation at some point here soon to somewhere warm, this is my beach hair way, kind of embracing what we're painting today. So again, one more second, I'm going to shift. So here's how we're going to do this. I am going to move myself up just a little bit. And depending on who you're with, so if you are treating this as your date night, as I certainly hope you do, you have a couple of options. You can paint this with your significant other, your kids or whatever, together, and you can kind of bring your canvases side by side like this so that they're nice and long and you kind of get this effect. Or if you're painting individually and you do not want to share, obviously this direction is probably going to be best for you. So the idea is, what I'm going to do, we're going to put our canvases together so you get the idea of spanning across two canvases. If you're just doing one, you're doing the whole thing on one canvas. So it doesn't mean that your sun needs to be here. Your sun's going to be centered. You're just shifting the image. What we're going to do is we're going to share our canvases and we're going to share a sun. So each one of us is going to get half of the sun here. So... yeah, one of these times my phone will fall out. It's going to happen, but that's okay. So that was the palette. That was my setup. And I'm just going to shift one more time, and then we're going to get started so that you can actually see my painting here, because that's the important part. There we go. All right. I'm hoping by next time, I've got a couple of options here, but I'm hoping by next time we will actually have a new setup where you'll be able to view it together. The wine bottle needs to get moved. Wine glass needs to stay. All right. So, anyone that's tired of being stuck at home, what are you guys doing to keep yourselves busy? I'd love to hear it. If you are commenting, again, I'll try to do a little quick span of all the comments later on, just so I can do it all in one take. If you have questions, you are welcome to ask them at that point or as you're going along, so you don't have to wait till later. I'll just address them in a little bit. Okay, so.
If you put that on this side, I can stay
so
on top of that.
Anthony's going to be taking care of the comments actually on his side.
Yeah, people, talk to me.
So, again, I want to keep this simple, and I'm going to give you guys some options. I wanted a sunset. I wanted to focus on this kind of middle area and have this wave that's cusping and coming over and crashing down on this side. So he's going to be having the wave on his canvas. Meanwhile, I, for the most part, am going to focus on my sunset over here and the build of a wave. So it's looking through right in the center, kind of the vortex of it all being sucked in and hopefully coming out the other side to a nice, beautiful sunset. Kind of what we're all hoping for here, right? Okay. So supplies that I've got on hand, we went over the brushes, or sorry, the paint stems. So the brushes are, I've got a flat brush. This is a round brush, so this, it's totally fine if you've got a filbert or if you've got a regular, if you've got any big, large brush will be fine. So even if you've got a big honkin' one like this, it's just one to use to cover a large surface. That's the only focus. Anthony, here's, well, we're gonna need that one. And then, oh, it's over here. I moved all your stuff. And then I've got two round brushes. I've got one that's medium size. This is my number 7. And then I've got a small liner brush. And I do have a toothbrush. We're going to do some splatter later on. It's optional. This is just kind of, please do not use your partner's toothbrush, no matter how upset you are with them. but don't. If you don't have one on hand, you can always crinkle up a piece of plastic if you had one from the canvas that you took off. You can use a paper towel. I had someone, so we did cherry blossom trees last date night last week, and they used Q-tips, which I thought was a really great use of your resources. So if you've got something laying around that you can kind of crinkle up and get this effect, I'm going to try to find a sponge again. We might do that. I just kind of want to give you guys some options of things that you can do for your crashing wave. But basics, a couple of paintbrushes, whatever sizes you've got, as long as you've got one that's small enough, you can do some detail, and one's big enough that you can cover a big part of your canvas without having to, do this little thing where you're like one tiny little speckle at a time. All right, are we ready? Is everybody ready? I'm gonna do a virtual clink, really quickly to all of you guys, and I am so excited for my sipping process because that makes me motivated. Thank you for that.
Ooh, that was a big sip. Hey, it's gonna be that kind of night, folks.
Oh, it needs to be. Alright, so I got my water. I guess I should get you some water too. Here, this is a cup. And my water is here. So, we're going to start with our, go over here, I'm going to get into my water. I'm going to dip into my water. And I'm going to go into my paint, and I always end up starting with just a little bit of white so we can get to the practice of it all. I'm going to dive into my white, and I'm going to go into a tiny little bit of yellow. And I'm just going to give myself my sunset. So I know that my sunset's going to be kind of down in the middle here. And when you have a wave is a reflection of everything that's around it. So as it's going to cusp over, it's going to kind of reflect it. So I'm going to go across on your side here. I'm sorry, but you can have some of my paint over here. But I'm going to come across, and that's my horizon line. Now, everything you choose to do on your side of the painting can be what you choose to do on your side of the painting. I'm going to make this kind of arched sunset, and it's going to be mostly yellow, knowing that this is going to be my brightest point right in here. And then everything else is just kind of fade into it. Both sides, yep, so I load both sides of my brush, so we got paint, and then we can kind of go back and forth a couple times. He's got more texture. He likes more texture in his paintings. We're going to paint over that anyway.
Okay. So
not rinsing.
how wide are we going? Just this little circle like that? It needs to be a circle, or does it need? Or you're trying to do the sun like that? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just going to curve. We're going to have a wave that's going to come over all of this later on, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It's spanning across just both canvases. Or again, if you're doing this on one canvas, you're just going to pretend like this is the size of your canvas, and you're doing it smack dab in the middle. And then we're going to have a paintbrush fight. Okay, so then I am going to not rinse. I'm going to reload with some more water. I'm going to go into a little bit more yellow. And then I'm going to go into a little bit of orange here. Okay, so those of you that I said no orange, what you're going to do is you're going to start with yellow. Apologize for the orange. You're going to start with yellow. You're going to move it over here, and you're going to do just tiny little bits of red at a time. To make orange, you want to start with your lighter color, so with yellow, and you're going to gradually add little bits of red to it, because if you dive into that red and start to add yellow to it, it's going to be pretty red for quite a while. So otherwise, yellow, add a little bit of red. I just cheated and put orange on my palette. I'm sorry. So go ahead and do the same. And then you can come in. So you have options. You can do this on the outskirts, or you can come in and you can do some wispy clouds. Okay, so if this is kind of like a cloudy sunset, got those wispies coming in from the ocean water or whatever, you can kind of come in and add some of that haze. And I keep my brush horizontal, so if you go sideways, you're going to get bold lines, but I'm keeping it horizontal so you get those little...
I like to do the little horizontal dabs that I have a lot of the color on. Okay. But then lightly, but barely touching the canvas, kind of go over it, kind of smooths it out a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. I'm trying to keep it choppy, knowing that we're going to go over all of this again. So we're just kind of creating a base for all the color to go on later on. But without knowing specifically where my wave is going, it's kind of hard to determine this part. So I'm just kind of giving myself a starting point, and then I'm rinsing. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to rinse, rinse, rinse. And to rinse, you're going to dab at the bottom of your cup because you want to make sure you're getting all of that paint out. We're going to dive into making our wave, and the last thing I want is to turn my water green when I don't want it to be green. Now, I kind of like the concept of greenish water, but not yet. I'm going to start with a good amount of white. I had a wet spot there.
I figured it was part of the process.
So if you dribble water, it's okay if you touch it. No big deal. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go into I've got a good amount of white. I'm going to go into a little bit of blue. So this is ultramarine blue. So my blue is going to be really, really vibrant. For some of you guys, and again, if it doesn't matter what brand you're using, we're just playing. So if you happen to then want to do this again in a more higher grade paints, you're more than welcome to. You can always go over acrylic. That's the whole perk of acrylics, is that it's never set in stone until you're happy with it. So you can keep painting over this. What I want to do is, I know that my wave, let's just pretend it's coming up and it's kind of going over and it's going to crash over here. I'm sorry to touch your painting, but that's what it's doing. So it's going to definitely go, that's the main part of it. And I'm just going to keep kind of swirling it. He's going to be focusing mostly on the crash, and you'll probably have to put in the rest of the sunset over there. But I'm going to come in and swirl this in nice and big, and then I'm going to reload some more white, some more blue, and I'm going to swirl, swirl in. Swirl, swirl in, and I'm just going to paint this sucker in. A lot of this is going to get painted over again, but you just kind of want to swirl it. So this, you want this to be nice and light. Nothing too dark, nice and light. And I want you guys to know that it's okay to just use this time to experiment. Or if you're just at home and you're sipping and watching, I'm going to try to make this as lighthearted and simple as I can. Usually, I think last week, I think it was like an hour and 20 minutes or something like that. Somewhere in there. But short and sweet. But if you're going back and you're watching this at a later time, then you can take your time and you can do it at your own pace. So I'm not doing your painting for you.
Am I supposed to be doing the outside too, or?
Yeah. So you're going to go into a little bit of white, a little bit of blue.
Okay, so in addition to the blue you've already made here? Okay.
Because yours has so much white on it, you want to add some more to it, and then you're just going to fill in this little area right there. Yep. Perfect.
That goes all the way along the sun line?
And then, so this is the actual curl. When a wave comes in, it kind of curls, but it's still attached in this area. So you're going to want to flatten it out. It's pulling from here, so it's going to pull from this direction, and you're going to come across, and you're going to start building all that same blue color all the way through here. So your step is mostly painting in this zone. While
So I'm going to be painting all this stuff down here.
So while I'm painting the curl, you're going to be painting the tail over there. Just going back and forth. Remember, every time you're reloading, depending if you have paint that it's a little bit watered down and you've got, and it's runny. So if you notice, like my yellow and my orange, sorry. So I'm good. My yellow and my orange is a little bit on the watery side. That's just kind of a different paint brand versus my reds and my blue and my black. Those are really thick and they're very heavy pigment colors. And so when you're using these, you want to dilute them with a little extra water. Otherwise, what you're going to have is all these little speckles of canvas showing through. So if I'm painting, you can kind of see it. See, as I'm painting, it kind of does this, where it's all these speckle, 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 speckle. Well, that's because your canvases have little grooves, and to fill those in, water. Water's your friend.
So I keep filling the whole rest of this in?
Yep. We're just going to battle it out over here, over who gets to paint the center. I really hope you guys are all snuggled up close at home painting together. And and if you're in a group with other people, or even if it's just you and your significant other, or if your significant other is at home watching you do this and laughing at you, at least put him to work and tell him to take pictures, because I want to see what you guys are doing behind the scenes. One of my favorite, I love what I do. It's my job, but it's my passion, and so I love connecting with people. I love seeing them make something, I don't know, feel something, make something inspired. So inspired by what I'm doing, but their own. But then they take pictures, we get selfies. And when I'm not in a class, when I'm secluded to my home, I I don't get to see you guys, you know, create, and I don't get to see this process that you guys are going through. So take pictures. And I really, really hope you guys post those pictures. I want to see them, and you can just post them to my Facebook page, just right where you're watching this video. And I will look at them later, and I will admire them, and it'll make me happy.
The successes and the happy little accidents. Haha! For my Bob Ross fans out there,
Nope.
drink!
We have to make Bob Ross references. It's the way that we make it through. So, painting in. Those of you that are tuning in now after the fact, just know we've been painting for just a little while longer. You can continue watching just for the sake of watching. You can always, you know, watch this later on replay when you do have your supplies. The supply list is listed in the previous. I'll have it in the comments later, but it was in my comments in my post just a couple hours ago when I had mentioned I was going live again.
Put it in these posts too.
So I will most definitely put it into this post later on, but I obviously can't do that right this second. Those of you that are tuning in, we are painting step by step together. This is date night, my excuse to hang out with my hubby and a drink in hand and do what I love most, paint. So he's already jumping ahead trying to make waves over there, or little segments of waves. I am actually going to come through and I'm going to give myself some space, some color way over here. So I finished my wave on this side. This right here, the wave starts in this little zone and it probably continues off into the ocean, but we can't see that far. So we're only focused on this little tunnel section. So this white zone that I left here, and if you forgot to leave the white zone, no big deal. I didn't actually dive into that detail at all, but if you did leave this, this is a gap between where my sunset is, and this is the actual rest of the ocean that continues on into the sunset.
The horizon line right here.
Yep, that's the horizon.
That's the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So this then is still water that's in a distance. So I want that to be somewhat reflective of my sunset, but I still want it to be like water. So what you need to do is to mix up some white with your blue, and I'm going to add just like a sliver, just like a tiniest little bit to make this more like a kind of like a teal color, like the ocean typically would be. So I'm going to come through and very, very lightly, I'm going to use that color. I'm going to use it on my side so you can paint your own.
Yeah, now I'm going to color match. Okay.
So you want to use that. So go
So-
ahead and kind of wipe off a little bit of excess over here. No sense in wasting paint, so just use it up on your canvas, squeeze it out. There you go. And then you can just use what I've mixed up there. This is the trick. We're not going to be responsible for any divorces out there for you, those that are actually working together. Brave souls, I'm so happy you guys are doing it together, but it does take a little bit of finagling to work together and try to color match. But that's your favorite thing. You always say that you love it when people are working together, because
Well, okay, I always love the differences that we get, because where Natalie usually is a lot more into the blending of having this beautiful, you know, color that goes, transitions lightly, I like seeing brush marks. I like the emotion that is created by the texture that I'm doing with all of the things here.
you
So,
like the motion of the ocean.
so does she.
Oh man.
So that's where I like to show my brushstroke, have the difference of the colors where she blends them in together, where it goes darker to lighter. So this way, I like actually having the white and then the dark color, the light color, because when you look at it from, you know, up close, it looks a mess, but from afar, they all blend and the brain fills in the gaps.
They can't see your hands when they're way over here.
Well, I can. It helps me talk.
So, yeah, absolutely. I think that's so true. When it comes to perspective, it's everything. You guys are sitting and you're painting during the course of this, or even if you're just watching, you know, it's difficult to see some of the detail translate through the camera, but it's definitely difficult when you are painting and you're sitting, you know, a foot away from your painting and you start to criticize and you start to overthink it. This is just playtime. So please don't overthink it. Don't overanalyze it. Yep, so the color you had, you're going to go. Mm-hmm. The
And
blue
blue.
the blue you already have on your brush
then
is
yellow.
quite a bit. So just tap. Good job. There you go. See, that's pretty. Yeah, and the whole reason I don't rinse my brush is because we end up using some of these colors over and over again. So I want to just incorporate what I already have into the next color transition. Ooh, that's really pretty. Good choice. And you can put it online. That's the best way to overcome it. They don't perfectly match. Just put some on. Yeah, there you go. And now it does. A little view is on me.
It is a Friday night.
Oh man. So when a whole week goes by and it's been a long week, I really look forward to date night. This is kind of fun.
March is the longest decade I've ever lived through.
No joke. No joke. And I'm going to add this just because I have it on my brush.
Blend it back
keep
in a little
going.
bit.
Yeah, keep going.
Throw a little bit of that right there.
Keep going with that color all
Yes.
the way.
Throw some of that in right there, please.
Yeah, better?
Thank you.
Oh, I gave you some waves. So we're actually going to paint over that color with others, so I wanted to leave it. I don't want too much blue in there.
I know. I wanted you to dab it in there so I could spread.
Oh, there we go. So we're working together. I'm giving him color to move.
Yes.
All right. So then I'm going to use up some of this color, and I'm going to start curling it around too.
That's a little too much.
Good job. There you go. Yeah, when you've got speckles and you've got areas that you're blending, water is your friend. It's a really good way to transition and making sure that you're doing very, very light brush marks between those two. So like where the ocean is, where I actually want this to be darker. So I actually feel like this needs to be
A more harsh line.
Yeah,
than
'cause
what
this-
I was just trying to fill in some of that and blend some of this back in together. So really just the slightest touch, little kiss on the water and to bring it in. And it really, if you wind back the tape, you'll see where all of that, the little harsh lines that I had really just blended right in that way.
and we're gonna put in all that detail. Now, my type A's.
Pro tip.
My type A's. This is my pro tip. If you have, I'm just gonna use a palette, but if you have a piece of paper, if you are absolute diehards, you have to see right where your horizon line is. If you use a piece of paper, sorry, I'm just gonna go like this. And then you can kind of lay it across where your horizon line needs to be. Obviously you can use tape, but I'm not gonna go to that kind of extreme. And you can just,
Haha! If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying hard enough.
so that is how you get that crisp line. Just lay a piece of paper down. No big deal. Do we have questions? Anything we need to address?
Oh, Tammy, I'm sorry. Painting by ourselves tonight. We're with you though. You're painting with us.
You guys are our dates. So just so you know, you're not by yourselves. You're there with us. So if you're having a hard time, if you've got questions, please post them, write them, say hi. I mean, I would love to keep this going and make this into an ongoing conversation. So you just let me know.
Hey, Marcus. Yeah.
Is Marcus
The
back?
wine's kicking in. There you go, buddy.
Aw. Cheers to you. Welcome back again. Thanks for painting again. Anyone else that's tuning in after the fact, we're just going through a step-by-step tutorial on how to paint the crash of a wave, which is kind of how most of us feel right now. And don't do what Anthony's doing. Although he's playing, which is totally
I'm
fine.
playing.
But now there's dolphins in our water. I like it. Good job. So one of the things is you want to make sure that you're letting this dry. So if you're continuing to touch this, get up, go use the restroom, go get a refill, just walk away. Otherwise, you're going to be doing what Anthony's doing. You're going to start blending all these colors away. So all those pretty spots that we had, they're going to get blended away.
Yeah, you didn't say earlier that we needed to let it go, so I didn't know I had to stop, so I kept going, and now you got me in this spot. So I'm just going to finish this out, blend some of that down.
So what I don't want you guys to do is to make this dark, because what we're going to do is we're going to come in here, we're going to need to do a reflection of the sun. So all of this here needs to stay really light.
And that's where I wanted too much water now.
No, I need it in white. So here's the trick. If you get too much color in one spot, the best way to overcome it, come in here and just wipe it away. That's why I like acrylic paint. You can just, if one of you guys can't quite stop, come in here, use a paper towel, and wipe that sucker away. And now we can come in here and bring that sun back in. The issue with yellows and oranges and light bright colors is if you try to go and use them when there's a dark color underneath, it's going to continue to stay the color that's underneath. So you need to kind of allow that spot to dry for a few minutes before we can come back in and add any kind of brightness. So now is a good time to take a quick break, or if you guys are doing our version where you've got 2 canvases, one thing that Anthony can do at this point is work a little bit on his sunset, because where mine has mostly water, he's got sky so when the wave comes in, it's going to crash, it's going to explode. A lot of this is going to be kind of that the explosion of the wave, but there's still going to be some sunset that's going to show just beyond that. So you can use little bits of your yellow and orange or red to make the orange and just fill in this little gap. So ideally, you're going to do everything beyond here to that corner. That's going to get filled in with some more. You want to rinse?
Yeah.
Definitely make sure to rinse off, because otherwise you're going to have a very toxic green sky. But
the Toxic Avenger.
yeah, you know what though? This is your sunset. Now those of you that do follow and take my classes with me, you know my obsession with magenta. If you happen to have magenta or pinks, or if you want to make purples, we can kind of add those little bits later on. But if you're doing a sunset like this and you want to extend it, you know, that could be magenta, that could be orange. So you're actually going to be mostly focusing on the orange over there as well.
Throwing some of this in.
Even if you're doing, if you're doing magenta, don't use the yellow, because if you do yellow, it'll turn it orange. So in that case, if you're liking the magentas or the pink colors, for instance, if you want your sky to remain pink, focus on using orange with your pink, and then that could be your corner over there. But just blend in whatever you've got, little wispies, knowing that this is yellow, so this is going to be your brightest point. So the rest of your sky really should be mostly orange. Little bits of clouds we'll add in later on. There you go. I like it. I'm taking a break because I really want my side to dry. So again, giving your paints an opportunity to dry. If you don't, your colors will muddle. Acrylic paint is forgiving in a sense that you can layer it, but to be able to layer without muddling, you have to let it dry. And what better way to get you guys to walk away than to go sip? So if you don't have liquid courage, or again, if you're doing this with your kiddos, you know, I try to make this as kiddo friendly as I possibly can. I hope that they're having a good time, and I hope they're learning a thing or two. They could have their fruit snacks. This is a good time for a snack. I didn't bring snacks this time. I had fruit snacks last time. Maybe I should go get some. But our kiddo is distracted. We sent him away so he can go watch a movie. Friday nights used to be our movie nights, but now we're improvising and it's date night. So he's having a movie night in the peace and quiet of the home on his own. And then we're over here painting. That looks really good. That is great blending. Good job. So
Pro.
He's mastered this process at this point. So I spent my time sipping though.
And she's almost mastered that.
I'm working on it. It's a good time to check in for questions. Does anyone have any kind of questions?
Debbie Sprinkles.
Oh, what? Oh. I think I missed where that comment's supposed to go.
She says, I sprinkled to several.
I laughed at you last time I try not to laugh, but I love it when you guys come up with your own creations. Those are always amazing. And it's not laughing at you. I just love the process some of you guys go through, and I love watching it. And especially when you guys are tuning in and you're sipping at home, whether that be, like I said, whether that's be wine or bourbon or whatever else, I want you guys to let us know. Take pictures. I'd love to see your process. Got some splatter over there. So a lot of this water here is going to be reflecting. So like I would say probably, because my canvas is larger, I'm going to focus on these 2 inches and some. For you guys, if you're doing just one canvas, it's going to be smaller. So maybe about the width of your brush, so about 1 inch, and just it's the water as it's curling and swirling, it's being reflected, or rather the sun is being reflected in it. So we're going to focus on that here in a second. And I really want to create a nice vibrant color in here to really get to that point. it might be easier for you guys, just so that you're not pressing so hard and squeezing this out so much, to switch to a medium-sized round brush. Now, whether that be this kind of round brush, or if it's just, I'm trying to go through my collection over here. You know, if you've got an angle brush that's a little bit smaller, you can use that. If you've got this kind of brush, anything that's just significantly smaller but not a detailed little brush. So find a medium-sized brush, and then we're gonna use that for a minute. And so to brighten our little water, I have got my water. We wanna go in there. I wanna get into some white, and you have no idea how much I love these colors. So I like my business logo, and my main favorite colors that I talk about, and it's always chartreuse, teal, and magenta. Those are my main 3 colors that I like to throw into my paintings at all given points. So this is kind of a bridge between the two. So the teal is pretty teal, but then it kind of is closer to the green spectrum, so it's kind of like chartreuse all at the same time.
They can't see anything above the white.
I'm not going over there. I'm keeping it right here. So I've got white, and I've got whatever remnants of blue that was over here. If you need to dab a little bit more, you certainly can. Keep it really, really light. So this needs to stay in like that pale...
Pistachio ice cream.
Oh, that's a good one. Pale kind of tones that you barely have any blues. You just want it white, tiny little bit of blue, tiny little bit of yellow, and it should be this kind of pretty... It's not even sage.
Would you call it a seafoam green?
Well, I do like seafoam green, but when I say that, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. So yes, sure, seafoam.
It doesn't mean anything? Hello!
Yep, seafoam green it is. So you're going to do little marks on your wave here, kind of throughout here, because this is the area of the water that's going to be pretty transparent. So the water's pretty thin, so we're going to come in here and just make little marks. So I'm pressing, pulling, pressing, pulling. And I'm just going to do it just on the curve of the water. Curve on the water, and maybe a little down here. A couple of these. Oh, we're supposed to be drinking on each tip. Shoot, I forgot to check in. And you're going to keep on. So I'm continuing on here. Anthony's going to do this on his side, so I'm going to switch, and he's just going to do a little bit out here. So you're going to repeat, you're going to use my little colors here, and you're going to do it right in this area. Yep, just little bits.
Okay.
Because those are going to be highlights. That's water down there too, that's being highlighted by some of the, that's being highlighted by the light. So you want to add a couple of spots there too. I'm trading places so you can actually...
All right, driving the bus. Who wants to paint the Anthony way? Here we go.
Actually, that's probably a good idea. There's at some point that someone might actually thoroughly enjoy painting the Anthony style way.
Here we go. That looks kind of, mine's a little bit more blue than it is green. Let's throw a little more of that in there, a little more white, lighten that up. A little water, because I'm running out of paint.
Good
There
job.
we go.
Doing a great job mixing
There
colors.
we go. You don't do this as long as I have and not pick up a few tricks. Watch, I'll teach you something. Just kidding. It's totally rookie. Okay, so they said push and pull.
So leave
we-
gaps. Little
yeah,
gaps.
little
so
gaps.
those- Yep.
Press and pull. Always, less is always more.
Yep.
So we just gotta space it out.
Whoa.
And then we go in and we see where we can fill in between. So, okay, that kind of looks like a spot. And this sort of right here kind of looks like a spot.
Think of like bricks. So bricks kind of stagger and overlap in a couple of areas underneath themselves. Just do it in that form.
Looks like a fish.
I like it.
Oh, wow. Going all the way. All right. We're going to keep going.
Yeah.
So we're going to leave these in like that. We blending them back down. What's the...
Nope, you're going to leave those areas just as they are. And that looks great. That looks really, really good. All right. So after you've done that, what you're going to do is you're going to then rinse your brushes. So ideally, you're going to rinse really well, because the one thing I don't want is again, green water when I'm not expecting it. You're going to scoop a little bit of your white and mix it into your yellow. So we're going to come through, and now all along the edge here, I'm going to do the same thing, but this time with mostly white and yellow. Dashes, smaller dashes. These are not quite as big, these are closer together. So these ripples, think of them as a little bit further from us than these out here. This is the closest part of the water. So out here, it's a little bit further, so we're going to do smaller little dashes, smaller little dashes. I'm going to keep going right in here, leaving some spaces here and there because you still want some of that blue to show. And then, I'm not rinsing. I'm going to keep going into this, add a little bit of orange. And then I'm going to do the same thing with a little bit of orange. What do you think, Anthony? Can you take over? Do a couple?
So you're going to want this all the way around and all the way down on the bottom too? Or just in the curve part?
So you're staying...
Just in the curl?
Just the curl. You're staying about 1 inch. So again, this flat brush is about 1 inch. So you're going to keep it like that. Within this 1 inch spectrum, you're going to keep going all the way around.
All the way around, all the way out to here.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Right underneath the crash.
Okay. Start with the spots that look like that they have less in them.
Toby, I love the fact that we're getting 37-cent tips. This is when I say every penny matters. So thank you so much for that. And we're going to have to clink. And then, and then it's $1.37. Is that what I got to?
There we go.
You. So that's one. Wait, so how much is 37 cents worth? I don't know.
You better finish it.
There's two.
That's for you, Toby.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was $1.34. That was awesome. Thank you. You guys are amazing. I appreciate your guys' virtual tips. I'm trying to kind of keep track of all of that. It's hilarious. You guys are amazing. And, okay, so you are doing great. One of the things that, as you're getting through with this, I want to point out. So this is my light source. So when my light source is here, remember how I said to leave this a little bit on the lighter spectrum because we're going to need to create that reflection. So the sun's going to be reflecting here. It reflects here and all in this area. So think of it as like a cone. So the light comes this way and the light's going to go out here. So our spot right here is going to be the brightest and down here is going to be the brightest. So I'm going to come in, not to interrupt your process. You're doing awesome. I'm just going to add a little bit more in this little area. And again, I'm keeping this choppy. So I had yellow on my brush and I just dipped it into a little bit of white. So I've got both. And I'm kind of creating this curl effect reflection way in here. Again, cone kind of coming in from here, this direction, from there going that way. And if you would mind, then you can do a little bit additional right here. So a little bit of yellow, a little bit of orange. Okay, I'll do this. Yellow, a little orange, and you're just gonna come through and add it right in here, just a little bit.
Okay, I get it.
So cone effect going up, cone effect going down, and then we're gonna create some highlights on this side. It's gonna look like a hot mess before it looks like anything. I think that's usually the processes that we go through when we're doing these. I always mention, it's gonna look like a hot mess before it looks like anything. Don't you worry. And I'm gonna throw in a couple of areas here, keeping it nice and further apart. So you're...
Yeah, I was just gonna say that same thing, that while you're in here, in this part, you want the dashes things to be closer together, but then as you come out across, you want the darker lines, the things to be more spaced out, because then that's gonna give you that perspective of looking at the things that are closer to you, more spaced out, and then the closer they are together, gives them more space. Go ahead.
Looks good. Looks good. So then I'm gonna keep adding, and this is not my final color scheme either. So while right now it kind of looks distorted and funky, we can come back in and we can brighten this right back up. So I'm gonna keep adding a couple of areas here and there, and I'm gonna switch. So Anthony's going to take a quick break now since he didn't get a chance to earlier. And what I'm going to do, so the rest of us, we're going to work on our wave. We're going to define this area and kind of understand that, again, this is the brighter part of my wave, this is the darker part of my wave. So I'm going to use my flat brush again. It's just a little bit faster and easier. I'm going to go into some of my blue, just by itself, and then I'm going to start kind of creating this wave one more time. Again, my blue is pretty dark in here. So I'm going to intensify, bring it, whoop, very enthusiastic painter over here.
There's a word we use for that.
What's that?
Remember?
No.
We are very vigorous.
Ah, that's what it was.
Vigorous painting.
And here we are with the accent again. And again, this is where I say acrylic is very forgiving. So if some of these areas you're like, wow, okay, so my orange and my yellow got really crazy in there, tame it back down. Come back in with some blue, fill it in between, and you can kind of drag some of those areas around very lightly and blend them together. So now it just looks like some parts, some bits, some pieces of your water.
So it's kind of muting down some of the colors, and then it's making these lighter colors kind of blend in then with the darker. So it's, yeah, so it's making it look like that weird, the way water does when it kind of ripples, and you start seeing the different things reflected on the different sides of the water.
That is what we're going after. So I wanted to do that. Now this is the important part. Whenever we teach these classes, I always have to say less is more, because you can always intensify the color. It's really difficult to try to brighten back up or to bring it back to a lighter shade. I'm going to do a quick refill on my blue because I'm running out. But I want to intensify these corners even more, because here, this is the deeper part of the water. This is where a lot of the water is piling on top of itself and you're kind of almost looking down. And even Anthony's little corner over here is going to be pretty dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load my brush with blue, and I'm going to just, this is less than kissing, this is less than pecking. You do not love this black, you barely want anything to do with it, but a little bit is going to go a very long way. So I just kind of added a little bit, and then I'm going to add it just to this outer corner in case it gets too dark too fast, because black will most definitely take over everything. It's better to hide it in this corner. So I just kind of start there, and I play with it in here, play with it, and I try to do this quickly, because if you're doing it too slow, too deliberate, it's going to be really noticeable. Water's choppy. Water is aggressive. It kind of does its own thing, and so do this in that kind of fashion. You're going to get in here, and you're going to kind of chop, choppy water in this little corner over here, and then I'm going to reload one more time. And send me some hearts if this is making sense. I really want to see if this is making sense to you guys. If there's anything that you have questions about, you let me know. But I want to see some hearts, and that's all you got to do. Push the heart button a couple times if this is making sense to you. If not, let me know. What can I help with? What can I explain a little bit better? Otherwise, down here is the deeper part.
Cool. There's one.
Oh, thank you. I'm even going to do the same thing, just a little bit right in here. Once we've, oh, he's singing. I didn't sing.
Oh, we got a couple of them. Oh, somebody's crying.
Someone's sad? Why are we sad?
Oh, there it is. Oh, just lighten up. That's beautiful.
Someone's making out with you, apparently. I don't know. But I want to make sure that you're coming in here. Thank you for all the love. Okay, good. I'm glad that it's making sense. I'm just coming in here, so I'm adding the deep colors way in here. Both on the top and a little bit, and quite a bit on the bottom.
We do have a question that says, are we drinking with these tips? Well, we're trying. We're definitely hitting them up. So thank you so much for all those.
I'm taking a break from the drinking because otherwise I really don't feel like I'm going to be able to paint at this point. I'm about how many glasses am I in? I don't
Let's see a real big tip if that's going to be worthwhile to watch too.
So I wanted wanted to do an instructor, I wanted to make this educational for the kids, and I'm like, okay, well, we can do math with the wine glasses. We can do what is 1/4 of a glass of wine versus 1/2 of a glass of the wine versus 3/4, and then we were going to go backwards, and then I'm going to sip to demonstrate it again. But then I realized I was 1 glass of wine in, and then there was no painting that was going to happen after.
And then we can show a mommy-sized glass of wine, then a daddy-sized glass of wine.
So it's been...
Oh, there we go. There we go. That's what we need to see. That's beautiful. There we go. Blinkers, blinky, and we drinky.
That's good.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you so much. We really, really, really appreciate you guys. I really hope that as much as I love the tips, I really hope that you guys are actually going to paint one of these times. This, the benefit of this is, I don't know, laughing at yourselves and each other, and this is way better than bingo. So, just saying. Alright, so I'm coming in here, filling in a couple of areas, waiting for Anthony to catch up, but I'm pretty happy with where we're taking this.
I feel like
What's up?
the yellows and things kind of peter out right there.
That's because
And that's kind of where it's supposed to be.
This is where it's going to crash.
I would have thought it kind of got in a little more. So we're adding more in here in a bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and since we're jumping ahead.
So, do we want this to come down to the
Not yet.
edge of the thing? No?
Not yet.
Other stuff? Okay.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Again, it's just as frustrating for this guy as it is for you guys to not know what this is supposed to look like at the end. So, hey, I'm keeping up too, so can you.
This is my favorite part. Is I know that this version of this type of class is hard to keep up with because usually where you sign up for a class, you sign up for it because of a painting, and obviously some of you guys are diehard followers, will paint whatever I'm painting, and I so appreciate you guys. But then I know majority of you come for the actual painting, the picture that we're painting. And so...
Yep.
Oh.
Great tip. Thank you, Alfred. Beautiful.
Thank you.
That's a big sip right there. That's a big sip.
I'm going to be tipping, not sipping
Oh.
at some point during this process.
I like that. Tipping, not sipping. You want us to tip? We'll see yours too.
Okay, so what was I talking about?
I don't know. I don't listen. Okay.
No, I was talking about the painting. So I know that it is hard for you guys since you don't know what we're actually working on at the end.
Right.
Part of this, just, who cares? You're having fun, are you not? This is an excuse for you to sit and just chillax for a bit. Hopefully. I don't want this to be stressful, and if it is, you're not sipping enough, so do some more of that. But I do want to get to a point where we're crashing this wave. Now, because it's not a diehard major crash just yet, I don't want like whoosh, giant. I want little bits so you can see it cusping and getting to that point. We're going to need a whole lot more white over here. But I'm going to dive into what I do have, and just to kind of demonstrate, I've got a good amount on my brush. And I'm just going to, this is like a swirl motion. Just swirling it in. Swirling it in. Swirling it in. Just little bits for now. This is just to get the motion. Excuse you.
Oh.
Stop it.
That's never happened to me before, I swear.
So, swirling, and just around the cusp.
Nothing. Never mind.
Just swirling. Just for the moment being, I just wanted to get that laid down so that we get the motion. And it's just pressing, swirling, kind of swirling it around. Using my big brush for now. What I want is to make like a purple. So what you're going to use is a little bit of your blue. I still had white on my brush, no big deal. And I'm going to mix it over here. Usually my
They can't see that high.
Sorry, I'll bring this down. There we go. So
That's the part you have to bring down. You're going to do it down
I'm
here.
right
Okay.
So I'm going to do my blue, and I'm going to add a little bit of red, a bit more red. It's more kind of like a burgundy color.
So when you attend the other classes that Natalie does in person, it's really hard. I think the one thing that we're really missing a lot of is the view of the palette. So as she's mixing her colors, you kind of notice how she started here, then she added the red, she added it on the side, and then kept kind of moving this way to get to the color that she was hoping for. So she started here and kept coming out and then worked her way back in. I thought that was awesome to watch, to be able to see from this kind of a perspective.
So you kind of get the gist of it. You just want to mix some purple, but I don't want this to be quite so dark, so I rinsed my brush. I'm going into white. I'm gonna add
Love that color. That's a great Kool-Aid color right there. That's beautiful.
Okay, well my water...
Holla if you hear me.
My wave is not going to be Kool-Aid. So I'm going to come in here and I just want to make this kind of like a pale, purpley, grayish color. And it's hard to explain. But sure, purple. Just a little bit. Very, very pale. Lots of white. Barely any color. Mix it over here. And then I'm just going to add little bits. Just that cusp. Just want just a wee bit of it. Again, hot mess before it looks like anything.
So we're not going all the way out to where I see you have, and I don't know if it's showing up on the camera, but the white is still out here further than where the purple came.
Mm-hmm.
Your lilac-y, lavenderish-y, whatever that is. So, I don't know, purple. I'm a dude. Okay, so you have that color, and then you have the white kind of still going outside from it. Okay.
So I do this in layers. I did the white because in case our purple got way too dark, that white is there, and it'll kind of blend very lightly into this purple and make it even lighter shade than what I'm putting down here.
Okay.
And then that's one layer, and then I'm not rinsing. I'm just going to go into a little bit more blue, and then I'm going to blend some of that blue even.
Here we go.
Clinkety,
Here we
clink,
go.
clink, clink.
Oh, Jamie, and I think that was Brenda and stuff. Thank you very much, folks.
Clink, clink.
Beautiful. Clinkety clanks. Those are big ones. There we go. Keep going. Put it back up. Put it back up.
Those of you painting, I'm sorry, we're sipping. That's important too.
Outstanding. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you guys. Appreciate your support. Okay, so my little wave here, whoa, you don't want to do that. I still had some paint on my other brush, or the other side of my brush. So I'm adding that blue and kind of blending that back into it. And now we've got this little wave coming down. Sound effects.
Sound effects are highly important. It's a very, very crucial part about painting and being an artist is you have to get all of your senses involved. So it's a little bit of touch, it's a little bit of sound, it's a little bit of speaking. Absolutely, it's all about the touch.
I touched it.
Touch your partner, touch yourself. You know,
Whoa.
we're getting it all. It's a full sensory experience.
Family thing. Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, I don't know. Some people are painting by themselves, so
It's true.
we gotta handle it.
It is Friday night, and isn't that what we keep saying?
Exactly.
Right. So we've got that little bit. We blend it in. So then I'm going to rinse. So again, just to kind of reiterate, I mixed up purple using blue and my red, and then I rinsed my brush, and then I primarily used white and added some of the purple in, so it wasn't that deep saturated color we'd originally, Kool-Aid color as you called it. So we just lightened it up. I went through and kind of dabbed along the edge of my wave and kind of created that little spot, and then went into my blue and I kind of blended it in. So you've got the curl, you've got that happening, it's just not quite there yet. I wanted that shadow. The purple is more of the shadow. If you have some of this pretty seafoam color left, use that. If you don't, it was just a little, whoa, too much blue. It was blue, white, a little bit of yellow, not more white. And that's the color that really is going to be in here. So you're going to kind of go over that. So we do this in layers. Water has so many layers, and not only does it have like colors, mixtures by itself, but then it's also reflective. So then it's going to use all of these colors. So all of this is going to had this gap here.
That's why we had the gap in between the sunshine and the top of our wave, where the blue part of our wave. So we have the white, we've got the purple, the lavender, I hate to use that word, the lilac behind it. We've got the sea foam on top of it. Then we had that ultramarine blue.
Yeah.
Okay, look at me, learning new colors. Brand new rainbow, these parts. So we're adding all of those in there. Thank you, Nicole. That's awesome. Yes, it is pretty. She's amazing, isn't she? So we're adding all of those in here like this on top. So then it's the colors on top of each other that really give you that effect.
Yep.
Okay, that's awesome.
So now that I know where my wave is, I'm going to add more seafoam splashity stuff later on. But yes, splashity stuff is definitely my term. You can now start filling in your sky. You've been anxious to work on that sky. You go for it, sweetheart. You just fill that stuff in. So we just are going to fill everything else in with yellow and orange just like we did originally. So make sure you rinse your brush. Don't want any of those blues in there.
Okay.
And then just fill her in.
Fill her in.
it's really hard. It's that I would rather err on the side of caution when it comes to waves, just because I didn't want my sky to be here and have all of that purple get then muted
So all the
out
way
with
down to the
orange.
purple I'm
Yep,
looking?
yep.
All the way down to, do I swirl around it,
Nope.
or do I, nope, I
Just
just
paint
keep
around
going with the,
I mean, obviously you don't want to do that into the wave, but it's
No.
okay. If you touch it a little bit, we're going to add the seafoam here in a minute.
so I'm going to start with my lighter color,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll add the orange in after that.
Smart thinking. See, guys, it works. To
See,
keep taking
guys?
these class,
Anyone can be taught.
you...
That's what she's saying. See,
I was-
even a real big dummy can learn how to do this stuff.
I wasn't getting there, but thank you for saying it.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure you guys are doing an amazing job at home too, and if you're laughing along and having a good time, or if this is turning into, well, I don't really know what this is anymore, take a picture. I want to see that too.
Absolutely. Our happy little accidents are the best pictures to be able to come out with, because it's all about different spots we can learn to grow. Keep going. Keep building.
And you guys,
Keep
like I said,
going.
I'm just trying to give you an opportunity to have a moment to, whether you're laughing at yourselves, whether you're truly trying to learn something, and I completely understand. I try to give you some insight into how this can come together. You know, maybe tonight you are just throwing paint around, but tomorrow you wake up and you want to do it again. Now you kind of have some of the basic skill sets on how to accomplish this, and you can push yourself a little bit further, make this a little bit more your own. And I'm never judgment-free zone. I mean, it does not have to look like mine. It does not have to resemble anything specific. It just needs to be what it is, and that's totally fine. So one
Right.
thing I'm
So-
noticing.
Right. So, as we paint this thing going on, and if you're not quite so happy with how it turns out, wait for that to dry, and then tomorrow you might be able to go back and fix something and make it, do something new with it.
Yeah.
Do the same kind of painting over the top of that again and make it amazing.
The best part, again, the best thing about acrylic is that it is forgiving, is that you can, assuming you're allowing your layers to dry, you can come back in and you can add more layers to it. You can definitely intensify the colors. What I'm noticing here is my clouds here, when we first started, had this wispy kind of back and forth motion, and I make sure I'm bringing that back in. And this is a good time to do that. So whether that be really intense kind of clouds, whether that be small little guys, but I want to make sure that I'm replicating that on this side of my wave as well, because this is all still kind of a part of the same sky. So maybe I'll go like this, and this is just me taking over his painting while he's distracted.
Just underneath the same big sky.
And now we're karaoke. I wish I could play music during some of this. I need to find, what I was thinking? If I can find a way to have someone go live at the same time as we're going live, like a musician that wouldn't mind me streaming their video in the background. Like, if you know someone that would be willing to do that, I think that would be the best pairing of these two experiences combined. So think about it. If you know of an artist, if you are an artist and wishes to kind of collaborate and make this happen, I just think, painting is so much more fun when there's music going on in the background, and I would gladly have someone showcased in the background. So we've got some tunes so we can help you guys out, and you guys can help me out. We're all in this together, guys. It's just meant to be fun. And I'm just going through and adding clouds kind of, so my brush is horizontal. When I'm doing this horizontal. If you don't want to do that, if you just like this kind of muted style of your sky that's just going to be totally flat, that's fine. If you even want to go in with so I've got my orange, but if you just want to go in with red, you can do red clouds in here as well to really intensify it. To get super intense, make this purple. You can do purple clouds. Anyway, so I'm just brainstorming ideas. I'm always open to suggestion. I really want to do a Zoom version of this where I can see you guys at home and you can kind of interact a little bit more. Just because we can't be together doesn't mean we can't be together. So just message me if you've got ideas or if you've got suggestions and things. I'm just keeping this fresh. And these Friday nights are me totally decompressing. So, you know, I don't want to hold myself to some sort of standard that this painting has to look a certain way. I just had something in mind that was really on my heart, and this wave crashing over me, whether that be emotion, whether that just be the overwhelm of it all, or if it's you hoping that this is going to wash away all the sorrows and stuff that's going on. That was kind of where I was at. So that's why I'm working on this. If this speaks some other emotion to you, fantastic. That's what I want. Did we pause?
Just that. We're up here. We're fine.
Oh yeah. Okay. So one of the last little things here that I kind of worked on my sky. So I kept creating clouds. I kept adding to that part. I do want to make sure that I've got some ripples in this distant area as well. So if you remember, that's that sea foam green color. Anthony's just giving up on me. He's doing his own thing.
I'm working your other thing here, so that's what's happening.
So I'm just playing on his canvas. I'm adding some little small, I switched to my round brush, and I'm adding little lines. Keep these horizontal. So here's the thing, when you've got water, at a distance, if you start to come in here and you do sideways lines like this, it starts to make it look like other waves. If you want it to be flattening out there, then you want to keep them horizontal. So here's the thing, you kind of want to, if you're doing these up and down motions, brush marks up, brush marks down, then it'll kind of look more like choppy waves.
Which, if we're getting big breakers like this one, you're definitely going to have those little, that disturbance, that turbulent water in the background.
So, you know, it doesn't have to be perfectly horizontal, where usually that is what we paint in this case. It doesn't have to be. Oops, sorry. You want to make some waves over there?
Not everywhere. All I do is make waves.
So, just a couple of details. But I'm going to give you guys a chance to kind of put your, okay, take that moment to add waves if you want. But one thing I want to do is a couple of these zones that, whoop, too much orange. Yellow, white, yellow, and a little bit of orange. And I'm just going to add just a little bit of this highlight back here too.
Right.
Because again, remember the funnel?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to follow all of that way up in here.
Thanks, Lynette. This is, thanks for the compliment on there. Lynette says this is one of her favorite ocean paintings that she's seen you do. And I completely agree. This is all on the fly. This isn't, Lynette, if you're joining us later, guys, this is not something that she had necessarily planned out up front. This is something we threw together here tonight. There was no guidance. There was no things. We just sat down, empty canvas, and started going. That's what artists do.
Yeah, I spend a lot of my days, again, those of you that don't follow me, typically I have at least 3 to 4 public events a week. So you'll find me at different venues. I cover a really large demographic of areas and try to have completely different paintings every single time. Just to fill you guys in, I noticed that between my canvases, if you're not painting your edges and you're painting together, just get the little crevices. I love that word.
Yeah. You gotta tickle in between the seams.
Stop it. I like to make sure that I cover that little area. Otherwise, it's going to be white, and I don't like that. That drives me crazy.
You never want too much white in your crevices.
Stop it. Okay, so you know that as I'm painting, I'm always thinking of you guys. I'm always trying to come up with new material, and it's been really hard where I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I have no idea what you guys are going to react to, what you're going to love. And so this is, at the end of the week, this is my kind of retreat. So I'm just playing. I know some of you guys want that, well, what are we painting? I don't know. I'm just playing. So I'm just using regular old blue, and I'm adding a couple of other, now that my paint is dried, I'm noticing that it's a lot lighter than it was. So I can come back in and I can intensify this with more blue. This is just straight up blue, my round, medium-sized round brush, and I'm just adding some more lines.
Hey Natalie, how do you know if your painting is dry?
Oh, so the best way to tell if your paint is dry, if you pick it up and tilt it towards the light, wherever it's shiny, and I don't know if you guys can see this with your cameras, wherever it's shiny, that's your wet paint. If it's matte, or kind of depending on what color you're using, some paints do have a sheen to it, but it should be fairly matte. That's when you know it's dry, and you can come back in. Even if some of these areas are still a little damp, that's okay. Remember, we want that to kind of go in together, and that's all right. But I'm just adding more, and maybe I even want this corner down here significantly darker, because really what you're going to do, and whenever I do paint, we have tall trees. Majority of my paintings are landscapes, so I usually have trees, happy clouds, happy mountains, whatever else. Wait, we're supposed to drink? Yeah.
Bob Rossism. We drink.
Clink. So whenever I'm painting, I always have two areas kind of that are darker in my painting, so that the center is the part that glows, or whatever the focal point is a little bit lighter, so that that's where your eye is drawn. Right now, my sunset's the lighter part. And so I want to intensify this, or maybe it's going to be a crash of my wave. I want to intensify this so it draws the eye here. To do that, blue, tiny little bit of black. Remember, not too much.
Tiny little bit.
And if it's too much, focus on the edges. Try not to get in too far into your canvas, otherwise it'll turn black. But these little areas, it's okay to add some more depth. And I'm keeping my spaces between these fairly large.
Spaces in between the spots where you're adding
Yep.
the black. So there's kind of a, as she's painting, there's kind of a black area right here. Then there's this space, and then kind of another black area right there. I see a space, and another black area, another black area.
And
Right.
I'm mixing it with my blue so that it's not just black by itself.
Just straight black, yeah.
But I also want to create, if you can do this light-handed enough, you can throw in just a couple into the curl. Otherwise, use the smaller brush.
Little bit.
Little.
Right, just a little bit. Not a big heavy stroke, just a little bit.
Just tip, sorry.
Just a tip. There's my friends. Holla if you hear me. That's right.
So we live on the peninsula, so quite a ways from the main major cities, but we always teach over at Clearwater Casino out in Paulsbo, and that's our big gigs. We've got groups of 70 that we're working with, and I'm on stage doing my Britney Spears thing, and Anthony's out there making up all sorts of funny sayings and entertaining in an inappropriate fashion, as he does.
Refilling paints and making inappropriate comments. That's kind of my gig.
So it's one of my favorite things to have catchphrases that he's come up with during the course of his time with me, and we're just here to share a little bit of that with you. Okay, so now's the fun part. I kind of want to come in here, and I'm just adding little bits of more blue into my curl. I want to, I need that.
That's what we're looking for. We're looking for more.
In the words of my 11-year-old, who I've spent entirely too much time with the last couple of weeks, that's what we need here. Just some sound effects right in that general area. If you have an old toothbrush, this is one of those moments. You could do that. If you don't, you can use a crinkled up paper towel. I kind of recommend using an old sponge.
So I saw you go into water first,
Yep.
did a whole lot of that, went into the white,
Yep.
and now you're just making your milky white kind of more liquid than paint. Yeah, there you go, a little more.
So in this case, just not yet, I'm going to make an actual gooey hot messness of paint. This isn't my splatter effect yet. This is actual paint. And I've got my brush because I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to swirl it and kind of dab it and swirl it and kind of dab it.
That's just straight white.
That's straight
just
up
white.
And then here, because this is water and water is horizontal, I'm going to kind of come in here and I'm going to swoosh and flatten it out just a bit. So the only thing that we're doing is keeping this thin along the edge, and this is where, just a little bit, not yet.
Thin, and then it gets wider and wider and wider as we come down.
Just barely starts
and then
to
it
cut.
comes out and it gets flat at the bottom where it's actually hitting. To get pitted up here, so pitted, and then
Yep, so that's that. And if you want to, you could kind of keep playing with this, adding little bits, but I always say less is more. After you've done that part, you can add a little bit more water, and I know my water is murky. If you notice my little puddle up in here, this is it's a hot little mess, but that's okay. So I want a puddle, and I want to add a little bit of white. So mostly puddle, a little bit of white, and This is a good opportunity for our sound effects. I would greatly appreciate a tip for that because that was hard work. Just so you know, kidding. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. So I've got that big puddle of water. I've got some white in there, and this is where we fling. And please, 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 do not fling at your partners. And if you do, I beg you to take a picture. So what I want you to do is I use my thumb because it's a little bit better controlled that way, but you're going to start at the top and you're going to pull down. Start at the top, pull down. So you're going to point that top at your canvas and pull down, and you're just going to, because that's fun. Did I get you? Did I get myself? No? Who cares?
We're looking good.
Who cares? There we go. So we've got, I don't know if you guys can see this, but it looks amazing. Like the texture that you get, the effect, it's awesome.
Because it's an uneven spread. It's not us sitting there with a paintbrush going blop, 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 blop. You got some of those where it looks like it's, actually splatter coming up. You've got some of the big ones like this that looks like the camera lens that you're taking the picture in that is actually splattered on the lens in front of you. So you're actually getting a whole image of being there in that moment. So I absolutely love it.
So the last little part, this is finally when we get to our little detail brush here. I'm going to use my puddle, I suppose, with more white in here. And I want to do a couple of little bits of highlights right along the rim. So right along the edge. Stop it. I always can gauge when that commentary is going to happen. And there's a little 13-year-old girl in me that loves the inappropriateness of it all. But I know, some of us have kids, and so I'm trying to not be quite so funny. But
I make no such promises.
That's why I bring them along. So Friday night, adult night. I do have, so those of you that have been following along with me for the last little bit, I do have our lanterns that we were doing. So those are mason jars that we're painting on. They've got little solar lights inside of them that you can then turn on, and they're going to be super fun. I don't have one in here. I brought it inside because it makes me happy. So it's in the house. But we're going to be doing those next week on the 2nd. If you missed out on buying supplies, you need them. I know that there's like a big shortage right now for a whole lot of supplies that I've been trying to order. So I only have 2 left in my kit. You can hop on to Pour Sip Paint, order yours. If you missed out that one, just a quick sneak peek again for the Tangled version of our little painting here that's going to be 3D. So this little cutout here is 3-dimensional. Some of our lanterns are going to be as well. That's a fun class. I did do a quick peek at some black lights that I just ordered. You'll be able to purchase from me as well. So we're going to do a black light painting. I've got tons of ideas coming your way. If you just want to do date night on Friday nights, I totally understand. That's cool too. I appreciate you guys with the virtual tips. That always helps me be able to come up with new ideas and have some flexibility on being able to provide supplies for you. I know not everyone can get out, so it kind of helps me with my inventory. But I want to give you guys opportunities to create. I want you to give you an excuse to paint and date. Hey, that's me.
Yeah, that's you. Sorry. Never mind.
So as you're coming through, I'm using white. Little detail brush. I'm doing the same little tiny little brush marks, creating a highlight all in here, all along the rim, couple in here. Just keeping in mind my sun's going to be here in just a minute. I'm going to put the sun in. I haven't done that officially yet, but I'm just creating some highlights right down the center. It's just part of me that really can't help the sound effects here. But you get my drift coming in here. If it gets a little too vibrant, too white, too much color, I always use my fingers, smudge it in. Making messes is my forte too. But something about water does not have to be perfect. I think I'm at a happy point to put in my sun, unless you want to put in the sun. But we're going to finger paint.
That's all me.
Okay, so you're going to
magic fingers.
Pick a finger, any finger.
What?
And you're going to stick it into the white paint. You're going to come in here and you're going to swirl around. Like I know you know how. So you're going to come in here, swirl.
Yeah, there it is.
Perfect. Ta-da! It's a whole lot easier to do that than try to paint a perfect circle. Boom, done. If you want to, if you want to continue to finger paint, you can do that, or you can switch to a paintbrush to fill in the edges, because otherwise you're so...
Otherwise, you make it look all kinds of ugly. Yeah, I got it.
You're doing awesome. Good job.
Oh, maybe a little more. Yeah.
Good, looking
You
good.
just want to tickle it with a little bit of love. That's up. Yeah. My son's getting bigger and bigger. Okay, time to stop.
Yep.
Part of being an artist is knowing when to walk away.
So, I love it. I think that looks awesome. I hope you guys are kind of getting close to a stopping point. The thought really is just I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to create. I wanted to give you an opportunity to ask questions if you have some. So Lynette says, I think some of us have been missing out with not having Anthony join us in our paint nights. It's very true.
You know, y'all? Absolutely. Who doesn't love a little bit?
I try to make sure to advertise the fact that he will be with me when it comes to our casino events, but he does have a day job, and I love every opportunity I get to steal him away from his day job, but he does have a day job, so he can't attend every class. But Clearwater, that's usually a promise he can try to keep, to be there for all y'all. Not necessarily for me, but for you guys.
For you, Leslie. For you.
No, Lynette.
Oh, Lynette. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm trying to go through.
While Natalie's going back and taking a look at all of your different comments and trying to comment back, trying to let you share some love, I really wanted to go back and talk a little bit more also about the paint crate. So if you guys are having a good time here today and being able to, paint with a loved one, just paint, have a little good time on your own, enjoy this part, support Natalie a little bit, take a look at the paint crates where you can have both a video like this as well as everything else sent to you.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's mailed directly to your house, so it's you can do it once a month. Is when the paint crate goes out, but you can sign up for just a 1 month thing. You can sign up for 3 months in a row, for 6 months in a row. It's always kind of a surprise as to what we're going to be doing similar to this, and I try to keep it interesting, try to keep it unique, but all of your supplies along with an instructional sheet is mailed to you. You just have to tune into a video that you can rewatch as many times as you wish, kind of in the comforts of your own home. And you can subscribe to that on my website at PourSipPaint.com. So PourSipPaint.com. It's under the store area, so there's some supplies that I do still have on hand. Quite a few I've run out just because a lot of you have been needing some supplies, but I do have paintbrushes that we use in class. I have easels, our palettes, our paper towels I believe that we use are still there. I'm coming up with some cups that you guys can order so they can be exclusive Pour Sip Paint gear. Along with some other kind of fun merchandising that I try to sneak in here and there, so I'll definitely be doing more so of that for anyone that's subscribing in the months to come. I do want to plant the seed too, because I've been doing so many other packaged deals. Anyone that does register for a paint crate for the month of April, you will have an option to pick from our other classes, online classes that we have, so you can pick one to do in addition to your paint crate.
Oh, that's awesome.
So other than the lantern, just because I sold out of supplies for that one, but any of the others that I start to post over the course of April, you can get a code and get yours for free. So not only do you get a regular painting session, you'll get a specialty one as well that we're doing with everybody else. So again, look it up on Pour Sip Paint. If you can donate to the virtual tip jar, that's awesome. Otherwise, supporting my business means sharing, liking, and commenting. Any kind of comments you guys have put out really helps my business. I know I have a lot of followers. Actually, you know what we're going to do? I think we're done with this painting. So one of the last things that we do as artists is to sign our work.
Gotta sign. Absolutely.
So, we're going to get in here for a second. We're going to use our paintbrush. So
the little or
little is easiest. I mean, if you can do a big one, that's fine.
Oh, yes, I can.
So you want to come in and you just want to write your initials somewhere discreetly or non-discreetly hidden. I kind of do it in here somewhere. But sign it, and then we're gonna call it good. And I want to talk to you guys kind of face to face for a second. So we're gonna switch the camera angle in a second after he signs it. After he signs it, everyone wants to see you sign. He's a lefty. Look at him go. Fanciful. All right, so can you rotate the camera angle for me? Sorry.
Unlock?
Nope.
Unlock it. Unlock it.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it. There we
Yeah.
go. Okay. Sorry. Pardon me.
Close your head up. Yeah, there we go. Hey!
We're back. We're back. Sorry. Hey, thank you, Candy. Appreciate you so much. I do want to come up with a t-shirt. Absolutely. So we're going to do, I'm going to do paint t-shirts / other things that are going to say I arted, which I think is hilarious. So all across the chest. If you can see my gallery wall back there, those are some of my older paintings that I'm going to probably put into the rotation of videos like this. So I'm really, really, really excited. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am so happy to have shared our date night with you. I want to see you guys share this. I really, really do, because my business is solely run on you guys having a good time. My business is solely running on him being a goofball. But you know, in a time of crisis, in a time of need, the only way small businesses survive is truly by word of mouth, by the community reaching out and sharing and getting everybody involved. So I truly hope that if you're not able to participate in any other classes, if you're not able to, you know, donate or whatever else, it's totally fine. I just want you guys to have a good time and tell your friends you're having a good time. I would love to get the word out that this is something that we're trying to do for you, so you have an excuse to get together on a Friday night and sip. Sip. Clink.
Clinky?
Clinky.
We
Okay.
drink it.
Anyway, and we paint. I mean, let's do a final.
left.
We have to make sure to show these off. So I want you guys to see the final product. And we always do this. So this is. What are you doing?
I'm trying here. Okay.
So this is our final. It's kind of what we created.
I'm better. Show mine. Show them how good a job I did.
Thank you so much for being a part of our Friday night. Thank you for laughing along with us and having fun. Again, if you're watching this on repeat, I appreciate you guys sticking it out till the end. And the only thing that you can do beyond this is really tell your friends and share and let them know that we're here for you and for others to give you inspiration during some hard times and a means of escape from some of it, I guess. I don't know.
And guys, thank you so much for being able to do this. More classes here from Natalie. You guys like it. For those of you who are tuning in long after tonight, coming back to try doing this again, please, that virtual tip jar is still open, is still up there. Go ahead, like us, show us some love to be able to keep this thing going.
Otherwise, we'll see you guys next Friday. I really... Fingers crossed that things don't, you know, totally take a nosedive for the worst. I'm sure we'll be back next week. Something fun, something new, something unexpected. I already have a couple of things in mind, but I'm not telling you that yet. So
She's not even telling me.
I know. He just shows up, hopefully. So I'll see you guys. Thank you so much for all of your love, and just keep creating, keep feeling inspired. We'll get through this together. Have a good night, guys.